What up, though, Detroit? Hello, world. And again, back right at you. Another episode of Detroit Bicycle. Joining me as co-host, we have our man Bruno.
What up, though?
And, of course, the tones of Bobby Brown.
Hello, up world.
How you doing, Bobby?
I'm good, Bruno.
That's
How about yourself?
Dulcet shit, man. You got.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Right. I got my ascot on.
Okay.
People can't see it, but
Keeping it classy.
Classy.
Right.
As you know, Detroit Bicycle is all about the love, benefit, art, culture, events, and all the people we meet on bikes from the Detroit area and abroad. On today's episode, we are going to flip things up a little bit because we talked about the health.
Right.
We talked about the love.
Right.
Yes, sir.
We talked a little bit about some art.
Yeah, right.
We
Some
did.
culture.
We did.
A little bit of
come on,
culture.
man.
Hey, we put him on it last week.
Oh, you know what? The problem is, like, I felt
2 weeks
bad.
ago.
Right. I felt bad because, like, there's so much good art in the
There's so
city
much
now.
out there.
So
Like,
We scratched the surface.
just a
Yes.
minute. Yeah. Like, we
That's-
maybe need to break that into, like, some other
Oh, for sure.
installation
There's
art.
more
or something.
art coming,
And the
for
murals.
sure.
there'll be
Yes.
some rotation. You know,
Yeah,
we're
right. Yeah, we're going to have to throw that in.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of that, we're throwing out a new
Okay,
topic
right.
today.
Yes, sir.
To fuel all of our adventures,
Right.
we need either beer or food.
Food.
Or food or beer.
Food or beer.
Yeah, let us know.
So today we're talking about the food fuel.
Right. Right.
And we tapped in our own resources.
Right. I mean, like, you know, you got that spot. You got that one spot that you go to. That's your one for sure.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Those taste buds.
Like, it's
you
going to
know,
be the exact same meal that it's always been.
every time.
And the beer's going to cost, the shell's going to cost what it costs.
So we reached into our back pocket and talked to one of our brethren, club brother.
That's what we're talking about, man.
Yes.
And
Bring him in this bit.
if you know anything about breakfast and brunch and booze
Oh my goodness.
on the
If
weekends,
you ever ate an egg,
right? If you ever enjoyed
ever ate an
yourself,
egg in Detroit in the last 7 years.
oh please,
Right.
you had to have stopped by or known about this establishment. Well, in the house we have the executive chef of the Dime Store, Mr. Josh Taylor.
Whoop whoop.
What up, Josh?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you're too kind.
Yeah. Well, you know.
In the words of Doc Hattori on the original Iron Chef, it is a pleasure and a privilege to be here.
See, y'all gonna learn on this show. I don't know what other shows y'all are listening to,
Right.
but on Detroit Bicycle, you
Oh,
will
yeah.
learn
Yeah, we're going
something.
to put you up on something.
Something.
We're trying to give you the broadest spectrum ever
of
out there.
Detroit,
Right,
baby.
right.
This
Yeah,
is
your life's
Detroit.
gonna get wider.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Josh, as the executive chef of the Dime Store, I do know that, the people out there who, if you haven't eaten there, you've probably seen his gorgeousness all over TV programming, Fox 2 morning.
Did you just say gorgeousness?
Gorgeousness.
It's a good thing this is a podcast, bro.
Local for Detroit. I mean, he's been all over our morning shows.
Yeah, of course.
Talking about the Dime Store that established in 2014? 14?
Wow.
It's described as the American brunch bar that has breakfast, lunch, and booze.
Those are
Facts.
the three food groups.
Yes, they are.
We've covered the three
Yes.
food groups.
And
These
as
are our main
a
folks.
matter of fact, you've got brunch or breakfast spot of the year. How many years now?
2 running for sure. Maybe
Okay.
3. I don't know. I think the vote's up for number 4.
Oh,
something like
There
that.
we go.
Yes.
So, in other words, if you have not been by the Dime Store, you're missing out, Detroit.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think every year we've been open, which would be 5 years in August.
All right, so we went from 3 to 5, but that's
yeah.
cool.
Well, I had to think about it for a second.
Hey, take your time.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It's
huh?
an hour
yes.
show.
So, Josh, tell us about how you got here and what you're doing now and what Dime Store's got going on.
How did I get here? Wow. Well, a couple of eons ago, there was an event known as the Big Bang.
You're gonna learn, folks.
Some existential's about to go down, bro.
Which is in debate with some people, but
Not informed people.
I'm now approaching, I got to think about it, almost 27, 28 years in the food business.
Professionally.
Quasi-professional.
Nobody died.
I would say my first cooking gig started as I was 14 years old and I was running a barbecue grill at an amusement park in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Wow. Grinding.
I washed dishes for a day and then they made me cook chicken. And ever since then, I've worked high end, low end, New York, Chicago, kind of everywhere.
Wow.
My folks live outside of Ann Arbor, so one of my old friends called me and he said he wanted to open a restaurant. And after working years of high end food, which I mean could be a whole other show, I just got over the 4 and 5 star world like most chef people do. But my favorite thing to eat.
We never got into it, so we don't really know what you're talking about.
I think I've been there once.
I paid extra.
I watched the next Netflix video. I seen 5-star.
Well, that's great.
One day.
If you want to spend $500 on dinner, like you can go ahead and do that. But your meal's also going to be ruined if one thing goes wrong. So
You are right.
Wow.
don't get me wrong, it's good stuff. But my friend called me and he wanted to open a restaurant, and my favorite thing to eat was breakfast. And I also have had so many terrible breakfasts. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great diners out there in the world, but how many times are you going to have shredded potatoes and a floppy omelet off a flat top? But yeah, that was kind of the entire ethos behind Dime Store, was to make higher end food more approachable and affordable in the breakfast format. And we got lucky with a really good location. And
your location is key.
Yeah, let's mention that, man. Like, just give a shout out. You're on Griswold, man. You're right off Campus Martius.
Fort and Griswold.
Fort and Griswold, man.
Chrysler House.
Yeah, it's amazing there.
And when you guys opened up, there were very few stores, fronts even open at the time. And now there's a fight for anything that's
you could get
available.
Nikes at the time. Is that what we're saying?
There's a lot of things I could say about real estate in downtown Detroit.
Sure.
Right.
But
And what people offer you these days. But
That's a whole nother show.
yeah,
Right.
it is.
That's a different program.
but yeah, we got lucky. I mean, we took over kind of a defunct spot, and we were pretty much the first spot in that building. And the beauty of that is, there's almost 3,000 people that work in that building downtown every day. So in restaurant terms, I mean, I'm sure our special guest can attest to this. Having a built-in clientele when you start out doesn't hurt
It
at all.
helps. For
Yeah,
sure.
right.
But then you've got people trying to get in who don't work downtown too. So
Oh, yes.
Right.
that popularity is a good thing
Right. Trying to elbow their way in.
for sure.
Like, who are you? Like, do I know you?
So, all right. So that's a little bit about Dime, but I need to now bring in our extra flavor
Oh, yeah.
for this episode.
Right.
Chef Josh
Need a little
actually,
seasoning, a little
right,
sour.
a little bit.
A little bit.
So Chef
brought back up.
yes, he brought backup for the backup.
Yeah, he did.
So not only do we have Chef Josh in the house, but we also have another special guest, Matt Romine from Farm, Field, and Table.
What's going on, guys?
Matt, welcome.
going on,
How
man?
are you, Matt?
What's up, man?
You are the
Welcome to the show.
owner and founder of the butcher shop. Are we calling it, or are we calling it a restaurant?
Yeah. It's a butcher shop in Ferndale. So what we do is we source whole animals from quality-driven and thoughtfully, I'll say quality-driven farms in the state of Michigan. So everything from different varieties of beef. We do grass-fed grain-finished beef. We do grass-finished beef. We do Michigan Wagyu. We actually own
Right.
Right.
I just learned something.
Yeah, I
guys.
know, right?
Like,
never
I was
knew.
today years old when I learned this.
Nice.
Thanks.
This is
Nice.
Michigan Wagyu.
Yep, Michigan
Yeah.
Wagyu. So Japanese genetics, but raised on Michigan farms.
Okay.
We also have a heritage hog farm ourselves. We do just about anything. So every now and again, Josh will call and say, "Hey, we're gonna put a goat feature on the menu," and so we'll buy goats for the week. So
Wow.
We work with
It's a beautiful thing.
around 100 of Detroit's best restaurants right now. So
Fantastic.
Okay, so you just said there's 100 great restaurants in Detroit.
Pretty close.
Right.
We're on the food, man.
Right.
Come on,
Dude,
now.
like,
Come on.
seriously,
Come up is real.
Yeah, the come up was real.
Come
Like,
up was
that part
super
they know
real.
about. Yeah.
So those 100 are basically from Saline all the way to Lexington. So
There we
all
go.
of Southeast Michigan.
There we go.
Fantastic.
Shout out to Celine.
Yep.
And these are sourced out of how many local farms, then, would you say?
We probably have anywhere between 15 and 20 that we work with like very regularly.
No kidding.
But of course the supply is always changing. Like a lot of people don't realize that like chicken is seasonal. Like we don't have any chicken right now because in the winter in Michigan,
I
people
didn't
don't
know
raise
that.
chickens.
Okay.
Like it's nearly impossible to buy turkey year round. You can buy turkey around Thanksgiving up to Christmas and that's it.
I know where you can get some pheasant.
Yeah, fill me in actually.
North
Or the
Corktown.
east side. Or the Corktown, yeah.
Corktown. North Corktown.
I'm not sure that the USDA is cool with that, but
I don't even know where they are.
me neither. Don't ask, don't tell, right?
So
That's awesome.
So you're legitimately what your name is from the farm right to the table, essentially. I mean, you follow the animal the whole way.
Yeah, we're involved in basically every step of the supply chain. Like I said, we actually have a farm ourselves. We have anywhere between 1 and 200 pigs at a time. That's just north of Emily City. We have a restaurant called Hiram's Tavern in Emily City. We have new information that actually.
Is there a drum roll or something?
Yeah, you guys will be the first to know.
Okay, let him know.
Exclusive. We put in a offer on a slaughterhouse 2 weeks ago that was accepted. So
Fantastic.
in the next week or two, we'll actually have the whole entire supply chain.
Do you know how awesome that is? The amount of times in my life I'd like to say I'm buying a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, right.
And it's not a Pantera lyric or something,
Or,
right?
or the shady clamp.
Right.
Well, it's a super important part.
Oh,
actually.
absolutely, man. That's the processing, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the.
I think a lot of people don't consider the effect that stress has on the animal. And,
Right.
you know, the reality is nobody as a child is like, I can't wait to be a slaughter man. You know, you just don't grow up wanting to do that.
I'm sorry. Is that the actual name for someone that works at a slaughterhouse?
Slaughter man, slaughter woman.
You got something better to call it?
I'm in the wrong profession.
Farm to table.
From the table.
Right.
I worked with a woman outside of Chicago, and every one of her pigs had almost an acre.
Oh, wow.
And she used to always say, like, you know, the only bad day any of these pigs have is the day I walk into the south corner and put a 22 on the back of its neck. And that's super
Sure.
cool, awesome, sweet old lady.
Right.
But I mean, that,
Yeah, some Fredo type shit.
Yeah.
as,
I gotta get my strips of bacon somehow. You know?
well, I think a lot of people lose the aspect of where your food comes from.
Yes.
You know what? That was actually kind of leading to my next question. I mean, exactly with that aspect of where it comes from is something you really have to plan when you start your own restaurant, right? You got to figure out where you're sourcing your
Yeah,
food.
supply chains are going to come from,
For
right?
sure.
Of course.
Oh, yes.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
massive. And the marketing bullshit around the food world is crazy.
I imagine.
Oh, for
I
real?
was gonna say
Yeah.
People
It's
people
crazy.
want to know now. You know, they want to know.
Right. You can't say
Everything.
artisan.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The days of just saying artisan are
The
are
insanity
over.
that happens, like what people don't get is like, you know, like every year around Christmas, butter and eggs like skyrocket. Like they go just buck wild. Like I want to say 2 years ago, I was paying like 9 cents an egg,
Okay.
and within the course of a month, they jumped up to almost 55 cents an egg.
No.
And I'm not
right.
talking like these were not fancy, awesome eggs. Like these were your run of the mill eggs. But the market spiked so hard that I was like, holy cow, how do I absorb that? Like,
Okay.
and especially when you're dealing with animals, like Matt can tell you,
Sure.
like things happen. Like there was this year, there was the avocado crisis. There was a lemon crisis in Venezuela. Like the weirdest things happen in the food world that will drive your profit margin.
I was literally unaware of the lemon crisis.
dude.
No idea.
They almost
Right, but
tripled.
I mean, no,
case of
I-
lemons
I'm-
almost tripled in price.
So,
The fact that it
Overnight.
impacts me is like astonishing. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
knowing all these different aspects of the restaurant business. How do you decide on opening up one, and how do you factor in where to put it? And
I don't know. I don't know if we should answer this like in a positive way or in a really negative way.
I would say my
what level of insanity am I on?
My gut response is number one, you have to be insane,
Right, definitely.
Okay.
and somewhat of a masochist. And I think a lot of people that get into this business, I know we're going to talk about pop-ups and whatnot. This is what I think. Like a lot of people that do pop-ups don't understand is actually running a business.
The long term.
There is so much more that goes into
plan.
sustaining a business and creating a thing and maintaining that. It's easy to do it for one night. It's a lot harder to do it day after day after day.
Sure.
No doubt.
Year after year after year.
Right.
And remain relevant while the industry is changing so much. Like when we opened our first restaurant, the Mulefoot Gastropub, like there were no like farm to table restaurants in Detroit. Like this was like one of the first that was around 6 years ago.
6 years. Okay. Give our listeners some historical perspective.
Right. Yeah. So it was, in 2013, and I think, I don't know if Selden opened just before or just after that, but it was right in that same time period. But since then, I almost don't even want to use the word farm to table anymore. It's just overused.
Right. Right. People are taking it for granted.
Yeah. So in a 6 year period, the whole landscape of the industry can change. What was relevant then is not now.
Correct. Yeah.
You have to be willing to be very malleable and fluid in this business. I mean, the amount of time I've been doing it, like I said, I've worked high end, low end, like everywhere from corporate to independently owned. Like everyone is specifically different.
Okay.
It's easy to run a business on a model, but you're also seeing the decline of all of the chain restaurants right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of why the pop-up question came up is, we pretty much got your aspect of it and your attitude behind it. Do you think though there's, let's say, a need because of everything's changing so much?
I don't think pop-ups are bad. What I think is a lot of people start getting involved in doing them without understanding. So basically a pop-up is a really easy way to kind of gain investment and capital into actually opening a brick and mortar joint.
Sure.
When you don't have the means yourself. But even doing that, like I can't think of a lot of pop-up people that are kind of in a sustainable brick and mortar at this point. Like there's a couple that actually pull it off,
right.
But without actually getting the investment and your shit together, as they would say, it's a huge leap from pop-up to actual restaurant.
Right.
Yeah, and unless you got a pile of money, like you're not going to go into a bank and get your restaurant financed
because
it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, because I made $780.
Even if you have the most incredible business plan, you're not getting your money from a bank.
I think the actual industry statistics on opening a restaurant, especially if you're trying to open anything even like moderately priced to high end, is 80% failure rate. Within 2 years.
No
wow.
So when you walk into a bank and say, hey, like I want to open a restaurant, like immediately bank dude like stares at you and was like, you're dumb. You have a 20% chance of giving me my money back.
Yep.
That's a huge hurdle.
It is. And you two have made that leap and
you've overcome it, man.
Yeah, we somehow conned a bunch of people in the public to give us their money. We really did. We didn't have shit. We had my parents had a catering company, so we had a space to just rip apart and build a restaurant. And we had some old equipment that we could use, and I don't know, maybe we were naive, but we had the energy to do it.
Sure.
And somehow we just convinced.
I mean, it takes a lot of effort. I mean, let's not get it twisted.
It's all blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
Yeah. And we basically, we sold shares of the restaurant for $1,000 to $5,000, and we raised $80,000 with just people giving us small loans. And so basically we repaid that money.
Grinding.
Hey, man, the hustle's real.
Yeah. We repaid their money in food and booze over the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dime Store was complete guerrilla warfare when we opened. I mean, in terms of shoestring budgets, like it was, man, that shoestring was going to break every day. And then we just kept getting busier and busier. And I was like, we need some better shoestrings. But
you know what I mean? Like that baby blue one on your Air Force Ones.
But I think for anybody opening a restaurant, I mean, unless you just have just this crazy mountain of money behind you, like
playing on the struggle.
It's a daily battle.
You need to believe in what you're doing. I mean, there's a commitment. Like you're in the studio. I know Josh. There's a huge commitment. Like that's your your dream, your vision. You're gonna make it happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's great.
All right. Real quick, I do have actually one more question before we get to our our rapid fire. What do you like to eat? So you're a family butcher. What's your go-to meal?
That's a good question. I don't think I really have a go-to per se, because I like to change it up all the time. But if I had to categorize it in like a style, I'm like a peasant food type of guy. Like I want to eat braised chanks. I want to eat grits. I want to eat things that other people aren't eating. Especially in the butcher shop, we have all these offcuts that nobody even knows about, and they're incredible. And part of it is that, they're available. Part of it is that, somebody needs to take them before they go bad sometimes. Right. But it really is the best way to eat. So like I step fully away from things that are very marketable, and I eat peasant food.
Yeah. I think we all had the struggle meal.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
No, I would totally agree. Like peasant food's one. I like to call it dirty old French. I mean, it's like old French guys. They never threw anything away. Like if there was a scrap of meat on the bone, if if you're eating heart, kidneys, like not that I love those things, but those are the things I generally like to eat, are the long braises, the stuff that nobody else wants. Like
interesting.
Like I call Matt like once every month, and I'm like, all right, like, what do you got in the cooler that nobody else is buying? Because I'll make that into something extremely good.
And I think that's the talent of a true chef, too.
Yeah.
Right. It's easy to take the good stuff and turn it into other good stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, steaks really piss me off in that sense, because like over time, I've come to realize that the reason why ribeye strips and tenderloins are so sought after is because they're really fucking easy to cook.
They're pretty idiot proof.
They're generally I would say relatively in a very strong, relatively good, from, blue rare all the way to well done. Right. It's hard to mess that up, but give me a top round and make it amazing, and you're going to have all of my respect.
That's a skill set.
Right.
Yeah. As a bootleg, home chef. Yeah. I mean, super bootleg. Yeah. Like, yes, I will follow steps from A to B, but I'm not creating anything new.
No.
So I appreciate the art that goes into
no doubt.
I'm going to take this piece of whatever that nobody else wants and make something totally brand new. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's art.
Yes.
It is. Absolutely.
It's art for the taste buds.
Short ribs and whole birds. I'd say that would be my favorite thing to eat.
Okay. All right. Good enough. All right. So, I mean, that was a delicious conversation.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I mean, this is a bicycle show, but hey,
we got
the culture,
too.
man.
We about the culture.
We got to eat
exercise.
And the food.
That's
You need
exercise.
it. You got to fuel the body.
You can ride to the restaurant.
That's true.
Well, we'll get there, right?
Right?
Well, now, tying it back into cycling, we've got a rapid fire segment of our show that we have with all of our in-studio guests. And these are just quick questions that relate to our discussion or to bikes specifically, whatever you prefer, that just require a short answer.
Just hit the bell when my time's up.
Yeah, we're going to give that to Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno likes the
He's
bell.
always on time.
I'm going
to
to give you
keep
the bell.
everybody together.
Bell ringer.
All right.
Saying Christmas time.
I didn't have a chance to answer. Hang on.
So start.
All right, gentlemen. This is for both of you. Describe your first bike.
Ooh. Oh, my first bike was baby blue, and it had clouds on it. It was a little huffy.
Nice.
No-name brand gold BMX bicycle with yellow tires on it.
Wow, yellow.
Nice.
Were they the plastic snowflakes?
No, they absolutely were not. I also got a concussion on that bike, by the way.
Nice.
Memories.
You got to start.
All right. So, whether it be then or now, what's your favorite ride? Like destination?
Yes, not organized ride. Just where you on your bike. It's you.
Going?
Where you going?
Or how do you feel?
You walk out your front door. You're on two wheels. Where you going?
I pedal around on the back roads in Lapeer County and basically forage while we bike.
Nice.
Damn. I usually just drink. Wow, you were like, wow. I feel bad now.
I would say it would be my commute to work, which is kind of cross-cutting the near East Side neighborhoods and hitting the riverfront all the way downtown.
Yeah, this would be a good time to can we insert the part where Josh lives on the bike lifestyle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's
commuter.
Yeah, he's 365 on a
wherever
bike.
You gotta go. It's my bike.
No car.
Been a little lazier this year, but yeah.
It's been a rough winter, man. The temperatures have been down.
Right, and you guys know that he's at there making breakfast for you guys, so he's there at 5, 6 in the morning, if not earlier.
Essentially, my round trip commute to and from work is about 8.5 miles.
Okay,
right.
It's a little over 4 miles
Cycling
each way.
Commuter.
Right,
and I'm up and on the bike at 5:30 in the morning.
Right. So that actually segues to our next quick rapid fire. Is what brought you back? Well, Josh, cycling is a way of life, so you never really left cycling.
No.
How about you, Matt? Are you an avid cyclist? Do you kick it around every once in a while? What's your style?
I was an avid cyclist until I opened a business.
Gotcha.
And then I didn't do anything but work in the restaurant.
Business, right?
Right. But yeah, I like to get out pretty regularly.
Okay.
My twin brother and sister-in-law bike all the time.
Nice.
They're trail riders. So every now and again I get out with them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. And you got dirt roads out there too, so you can you can gravel ride or whatever.
Yeah, and the Polyan Trail in Emily City connects all the way down to the Paint Creek Trail, and
Nice.
Right.
There's another one, but you can hit trails all the way down here.
Beautiful.
Describe your blank. Whatever you want.
Whatever blank you want.
Well, now I'm drawing blanks, man.
Thank you.
Time's up.
Time's up.
Hey, Matt,
You got a blank?
I mean, I could describe all sorts of stuff. What do you guys want to know about?
All right, next question. All right, what's your one wish for the city of Detroit?
Man, do I want to see the greenways turn all them rails to trails into bike paths.
Nice.
Yes.
They're coming.
Like honestly, like as
Please,
someone who
Scott,
rides
please City of Detroit.
damn near every day.
Help us out.
Man, if that could all get locked in the way that the DeQuinter Cut has.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
having actual bike through affairs in the city.
Right.
Fantastic.
'Cause I ain't gonna lie, like Kercheval gets a little questionable. It's a little questionable at 5:30 in the morning.
Right. You get on it with the FCA trucks.
Oh, it's not even the trucks. It's the cross traffic at like 5:30, 5:45.
Okay. They're not paying attention.
You better have a light on and like just be aware.
Right.
I literally, that's probably outside of actually being hit twice. I've been almost hit more on Kercheval than any street in the city.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Kercheval.
Good to know.
Heads up.
Nice. Well, mine, I don't know. Maybe mine's a little bit selfish, but I do a lot of time driving around Detroit, on all sides of Detroit, and I can't help but think in all these vacant properties and, you know, the places where the grass and the weeds are 6 foot tall, that I could literally graze animals in all of these vacant lots.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe in the meantime, for blight control, weed control, I could graze sheep on the west side. And then when somebody's ready to use it, we'll get them out of there. I don't know.
Right.
Seems like a crazy idea.
I mean,
It doesn't sound that crazy to me.
No, it doesn't.
They ticketed that guy with the goats last year.
Oh,
There's a
right.
dude, there's a
Oh,
dude
that's
east
right.
side.
Yeah.
And he had like 30 goats. And he literally was walking
Good
them
for
around.
him.
He was walking them around to overgrown fields
right on.
and having them graze. And the city came back at him and was like, we're going to charge you $200 a goat until you get him off the street.
Wow.
And
I think it's a great idea.
And that's more of a state of Michigan thing because that fell into a farming regulation that the state of Michigan ran.
What's with the goats, man? Why are they hating on the goats?
It left raising livestock and other animals within city limits up to the city itself. So, the city of Detroit could say, yes, you can raise goats here. You go out to Ann Arbor, no, you can't have a goat anywhere.
All right, so it's a municipal law.
Yeah, it's a very wispy, poorly written thing in the farming world.
Thank you, Bruno. That concludes this segment of Rapid Fire.
That's how we
5
do
questions.
Man. Right.
All right. Once again, Bruno, we ask you to be nosy and find out your business on where you've been.
That's what I do, man. I ride these bikes, man.
Where were you at this last week?
I've been to a couple of shops. Most recently, I was at American Cycle and Fitness.
Oh, okay.
They have 7 locations, but the one that I was at was on the east side.
Nice.
It's at 20343 Mack Avenue. It's 6 blocks south of Vernier. Vernier's 8 Mile.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on the east side, deep east side, you go down Mack, Vernier, make that left or right, go down 6 blocks. They're right there. They're really cool people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I've been in a lot of shops. It's kind of modern.
Okay.
They got nice stuff. It's not an old Schwinn spot from the 70s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
they
it's
got
modern.
apparel and
oh, yeah. They
gorgeous.
have a Carol, right. Kid stuff. You know what I mean?
Everything.
They actually have this personal fit system.
Ooh.
So you can go in there when you buy a bike and they put you on a monitor and it actually measures you and your pedal style to a bike.
All right.
Which is really cool.
So better fitment, in other words, for a particular
right.
what
And
you're looking for.
when we've been talking about bikes, everybody that comes on is the fit. And these people actually have it. So,
nice.
I thought it was really cool.
You on a kid's bike.
Like a Strider?
Yeah.
I don't think they have that. But
not like an adult
not
Strider.
That big, right?
The adult Strider, right? A Velos from France.
Called the Bird.
Yeah, it's called the Bird. It's a modern, it's a modern shop. They have,
Nice.
It's Track, All City, Electra, Ritchie, Bontrager accessories, but the people there are really cool and they're really about cycling and, they may ride a different style than myself, but it's all cycling, man.
Sure.
They're on 2 wheels and they're doing good things for the city. So, listen, please enjoy my interview.
Thanks,
man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Chop Shop. I'm Bruno, hanging out here on the east side at American Cycle and Fitness here on Mack Avenue, 2343 Mack Avenue. It's basically 6 blocks south of Vernier Road, and it's one of 7 American Cycle Fitnesses located in Southeast Michigan. Folks, I'd like to take a moment to introduce my guests here. Steve Merce, the store manager. How you doing, young man?
Doing really good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, man. I really do appreciate it. Dane Wild, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot.
Okay, and you're the chief of chatter. Is that
the official title on my card.
Okay.
So I just like to talk, and talk is what I do.
Okay, beautiful things, man. And the young man, Adam Baker, he's the service overlord.
That is what they call me.
I like the service part. The overlord is awesome. Dress up like somebody
black.
from Game of Thrones or something, right?
Lots of eyeliner.
Okay. Well, as long as you can fix a bike.
Studded belts.
Yeah, all right, now
Bring
you're crossing
those
the
back.
lines, man. Now you're crossing the lines, man. Geographically, when you walk into this place, it is one of the largest bike stores I've ever been in, and it's beautiful. Congratulations. I
Appreciate it. When people walk in, I think we're tucked back off the street here, so we don't have a whole lot of curb appeal. So when people do walk in here, they're usually taken aback at the showroom.
Right. It's just beautiful. It's very modern and it's clean.
Not like many bike shops. Yeah.
There's not
Not that there's anything wrong with dirty bike shops.
No.
Hey, no. Come
Nothing
on.
wrong with that.
Ours is just clean.
I just love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love where you're at. And you guys basically cover, the full array of bike supplies, accessories, kids, cruiser bikes, hybrid bikes,
Yeah, we do. We also try to keep our inventory kind of focused in what we believe is the best product and the best solutions, so that we're not kind of getting bogged down in a lot of choice. I guess choice overload. I guess what we find a lot of our clients is you give them more than two choices and they just drop all the information you're trying to share with them.
Right.
And being powered by Trek, you're not comparing apples to apples. In some bike shops where they carry a couple brands under the roof, here with Trek, you're getting right to the point.
Right.
Per model.
Right. You're
Less redundancy.
Yeah. There's focus.
Yep.
So that's beautiful, man. Could you please describe your role in the community? Because we know that bike shops are hubs. This is where people come and they gather and they exchange information and ideas and So, what's your role in the community?
Well, we've tried a few different things. We've tried how to service your own bike, and we've tried bike rodeos, and I mean we still do. And we head out to the trails and hang out at fat tire events and trail events and. Do wrenching in the community outside of the shop. But what we really like to do is kind of put ourselves in places where you don't normally find bike shops. For example, we want to put ourselves at like the Etzel Ford estate where we actually introduce people to e-bikes, but just kind of get people to start thinking outside of where they would normally see bicycles.
Right. Expanding the bike opportunities.
You got it.
Yeah. Hey, that's the great thing about. The exciting thing about Detroit right now in Southeast Michigan is the explosion in the types of bikes and the number of people on bikes, and it's just an amazing time.
People are starting to finally realize that bicycles aren't just a toy.
Right? It's not the same bike that you had when you were a kid.
No.
It's not the Typhoon.
No, definitely not the Typhoon.
You're not.
But you can still deliver papers. I mean,
Yes,
we
you could.
we got solutions
If
for
your
everybody.
uncle's not doing it, you could definitely go do it.
Right.
Here in the U.S. for sure, we definitely got most of our motivation for bicycles from the roadie side of things and the mountain side of things, and not a whole lot of just utilitarian type stuff and leisure type stuff and family type stuff. I mean, there definitely was that spirit of that with what Schwinn did when they started introducing models that were like the collegiate and some of the family stuff with the banana seats and the cruisers. But nowadays you have something for everybody. I mean, there's so many different flavors of bikes that can be tailored to that.
And you really have them here in the store. I mean, There's Strider bikes. There's
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Yeah, it's nice to walk around and be like, wow, there's. It's like you don't really realize how many varieties of bikes there are until you're around all the varieties of bikes that there are.
Very much so.
Right. Who served as role models for you? This is everybody I know that came into the game had somebody that kind of helped them along, push them into.
So basically, for me, this is a great shout out for good friends of mine. But the guys at Albies, they're out at 14 in Maine now in Clawson. They just took me under their wing when I was a kid, when I was a dirty little BMX kid, and I just wanted
to come any other way.
Yeah, really, right? So they allowed me to just soak up as much information as possible from when I was 13 till even now. I go in there and still get very good business, and
it's very much a Stevie Wonder story, and kind of the kid just kind of hanging around.
Yeah,
just taking up people's
very
time
much.
and-
I dropped out of high school and just hung out there because that was a better education for me there than it was, pushing a pencil at, between 8 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So
There you go.
You weren't going to class anyway.
No, I was traveling the world. I was traveling the world anyways, on top of hanging out there. But
It wasn't really for everybody.
No.
That's cool.
I think ACF, actually, when I was a 16-year-old punk kid here in Grosse Pointe Woods, I say punk kid, but an overprivileged, silver spoon type kid, they took me in and taught me a little bit about work ethic, and Dan Horsley was the wrench here at this location, and now he's the manager of the Royal Oak location, but he really showed me what being a professional was all about and why you should take pride in it and how you own this role of being in a bike shop, because it's sort of like the food and bev industry or any service vocation. It may be looked down upon, but if you own it, if you try to champion it, if you make it a professional career, you can make people look up to you as far as what you do, and I still do that to this day, and I take a lot about what he taught me about being a professional in stride and what I do, and so I owe a lot to Dan and what he taught me as a little kid.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's
I want
really
to make
nice.
sure. I was just thinking about. I think I said 14 in Maine. They're at 15 in Maine. So they're going to kick my ass for that.
You
one.
really hang out.
That wasn't the original location, but that's for another day.
Okay, what's up, Adam?
How's it going?
What's going on, man? Mr. Overlord, Service Overlord. Who was your role model?
So I grew up in the Grosse Pointe area. With Steve, just a couple years apart. A few years apart.
Decades.
Asshole. A decade.
Decades apart.
Cassette tapes to MP3s, right?
Yeah.
But when I started here, the lead mechanic, he was a dick, but he knew what he was doing. He was really particular about his work. He pretty much showed me everything I know. I still learned after that, but it kind of was the bread and butter of all the mechanical knowledge I knew.
Gave you the real basics that you
gave me the
could
kick in the ass, and then I figured out the rest.
Yeah, all right. That's nice, man.
Took me on my,
I can really appreciate that. What does it take to be a good mechanic?
Just consistency. Everything's got to be done the same. You can't have brakes feeling different in the store. You can't have customers' brakes feeling different. Just taking your time. Everything has to work as a whole. Nothing's going to be
Right. You want all the parts to work the same every time.
Yeah.
It's the sum of the parts.
It's the sum of the parts. There you go.
It's the sum of the parts.
Right. I've been to a couple of bike shops, and I always want to know, because you're the first to know. What's the new technology coming? What's
The new technology is definitely e-bikes. I mean, I guess if I put e-bikes number one, and then number two for me would be like illumination. So like advancements in light patterns for everyone having lights on their bikes.
Awareness.
Yeah, the awareness section. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So definitely e-bikes number one, but that would be number two.
Okay. And the e-bike is you guys have quite a few beautiful e-bikes here, and I know that American Cycle Fitness has championed e-bikes, the Trek line of e-bikes.
We went all in. Trek went all in.
Yeah.
We went all in. We believe it's the future. The joke is that why don't more people ride bikes? And the answer is because it's too hard. Now, that's kind of a joke, but a lot of the market that we're trying to appeal to with e-bikes is folks that just aren't getting out of the car for those short rides or for those excursions into their neighborhood or for getting downtown to a ball game, outside of their car. So the e-bike really offers more opportunity for folks that wouldn't ride and or folks that already do ride that want to ride more.
And it can expand range. I've heard a lot of people say that they can go farther.
Yep.
And the other upside too is that they can carry more.
Yep.
They're not showing up with
you can
20
do the
pounds
effort.
of
You
stuff
can do the
for
effort
work
that you
and
normally would do,
not being
but
sweaty.
You cover more. Yeah, it's not e-sweat is the other thing that we say.
Right.
You can still put in the work. You're just going faster and further for your effort.
Right. The payoff's better.
So if you were going to come from Grosse Pointe, you could go to Grosse Pointe, loop Belle Isle, go home. On an e-bike, you could go from Grosse Pointe, loop Belle Isle, go down to Canvas Marshes, hang out, go up to Corktown, do your thing, come back, do another loop around Belle Isle. Hit the Quindercut, hit all the the big popular bicycle spots, get back to GP, and you're still good to go.
Right. You're not going to be
laid up on the couch and telling the wife, I can't mow the lawn. Yeah.
It's not the blue emu kind of day, Yeah,
the hemorrhoid-free ride,
hey, we're all looking for that ride.
That's true. I guess, you're still getting the...
Right. That's funny. So what would be your advice for new riders?
I think right now what we've been trying to champion here is actually doing the fit first process, and what that really is here starts in the fit studio, where we actually look at someone's biomechanics. We take a look at their injury. Well, we do an interview, take a look at their injury history, take a look at their range of motion off the bike, and then put them on a size cycle where we're actually adjusting it to their biomechanics through motion capture and pressure analysis, optimizing their contact points. Anyway, what we do is we develop what's right for them and then plug those coordinates back into a database that then tells us the orientation of the bike and the right geometry, and it's totally agnostic. But what that does is gives us a product that's going to fit them right out of the box, and that's kind of the thing with bikes is no bike out of the box is going to fit somebody perfectly. So getting them in the fit studio first is probably the best thing that we can do for folks so that they start best pedal forward.
Okay. Yeah. Let me take a moment. We're not in a recording studio. We're in a bike studio. We're in the Bike Fit studio here in American Cycle Fitness. And what you do, you use cameras and pressure sensors and
lasers.
Got a few lasers.
Got a few lasers. Do that sound again? How's that go? There you go. And so you're really, really scientifically fitting somebody, finding out exactly how they ride.
Yeah, there's some performance involved, but the way we like to build this is it's all about comfort, because if you're more comfortable, you're going to perform better.
Right, and you're going to ride more, and you're going to enjoy cycling, and
you got it.
Be a more full permanent member to the community.
Yeah, cycling doesn't have to hurt.
Yeah, no, right?
And these are the myths that we're trying to debunk, you know.
Right,
I mean,
said the overlord.
Yeah, that's right. Cycling doesn't have to hurt. You don't have to go numb. You don't have to pee a little blood. I mean, all that stuff is just disinformation. And for a lot of our female riders out there, they've been subjected to riding men's equipment for a long time, and or they would just shrink it and pink it.
Right.
And there's a lot of anatomy that goes along with getting somebody to fit right
we're
on a
adults.
bike.
We can talk about them having different anatomy.
Right. Different soft tissue.
And it can be fun.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that it opens up that conversation too, like not being able to, you really don't want to talk about too specific anatomy, but I mean, when you're talking about abrasions on labia and those types of things,
right,
you want to have solutions for that, because
that could be life-changing.
Right.
I mean, or at least for a while changing.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Right. So I always like to ask the guests or people that invite me into their shops, what was the best build you ever had?
My best build, obviously, would be for my BMX career. First signature frame. Just happened to be the right place, right time. Brian Foster. Oh, the Blue Falcon. You know he's a PT now? Oh, man. He made enough money from Schwinn to not have to be a PT.
Jay Mira.
But Jay Miron's making cabinets up in Saskatchewan, Canada, actually. If you want.
They're all signature frames from Schwinn.
Yeah. I can give it history. Anyway, so...
To be honest, that all sounds like fun, man.
Yeah.
Cabinets in Saskatchewan?
I don't think he remembers it because he's got so many concussions, but... No, so that bike, I actually sold it when I got knee surgery because I was a broke piece of shit. And then that kid's got it stolen. So the only way I'll ever track that down is it had a stupid... I hate, on BMX frames, I hate integrated seat-post clamps.
Right.
And the one they put on there was like... It was like a screw that you would use on your fucking eyeglass. Like,
oh, right.
So it didn't work. So I had to actually cut a seat post and actually use a quill and make an internal quill piece.
It's identifiable.
It's identifiable if it ever shows up, but I mean... There's no chance in hell. That was right around Scrap Mania in between 2008 and 2010.
Yeah.
So if that bike was stolen,
whole trucks coming up here.
Yeah.
And just robbing everybody's bike.
Yep. So
yeah,
there's no chance in hell that's coming around.
That was a problem. Those are some
great cars went away and great bikes went away during Scrap Mania.
Yeah.
Best bike I ever built in Arizona. I was learning quite a bit working at a kind of a PT collective called Endurance Rehabilitation, and I was learning a lot about myself. And so I built myself up a Bob Parley Z5i. They were rolling their own carbon at that point too, so it was a really great riding bike. But I made some really nice kind of anatomical changes with shorter cranks and the right geometry and a nice tall head tube, and it still feels like it fits me like a glove. That's probably my favorite build, and I still, I talk about selling it, but man, it would be like selling my left arm.
You wouldn't get anything for it.
The slow roller we just built
because it's got
that slow roller we just fixed up. Oh, that was a sweet build. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that
TV
had
in the back.
Screen in the back. Yeah,
it was a 24-inch Sun Trike, and he wanted bigger wheels, so we tapped Albies because they're one of the best custom wheel builders in the country. Actually, I'd say in the world. We tapped them, put 29-inch or 700C wheels on it, and just he's a big guy. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and we just kind of extended everything up, and it's probably one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Nice. TV in the back, like.
Yeah, we'll take a picture of that and send that to me. We'll put that on the website.
Yeah, that's
That's something else. We're gonna.
Yeah,
I'm
you'll
gonna
definitely
see
see it
that. I'm gonna
downtown.
see that at Slow Roll this.
Yes,
summer.
you will.
That bike will be there, no question.
Getting the second one's coming without the TV and more speakers. So
Oh, okay.
If
Yeah.
you don't see them, you'll hear them this summer.
So Adam, what's your favorite place to ride? Like if you get off work, it's been a bad day, customers have been coming in and complaining about.
No, that doesn't happen.
No, that's not
yeah. It doesn't.
Oh,
it's-
okay. They
Seldom does it ever.
when you at the end of a long day of being praised for how great a mechanic you are.
That sounds better.
They-
I usually default down to Belle Isle. I mean,
Okay.
I just love the diversity of, like, you got roads, trails, some dirt paths.
Yeah, Belle Isle's a classic.
You can jump in, catch a swim, and then, ride back home. And you can take Jefferson. There's a bike lane the whole way to Grosse Pointe or, wherever.
Any environs, really. I mean, you can really just go up the boulevard if you need to.
Yeah, you can
come
find
down
your way
Charlevoix.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some ways to get back and forth. Anything else I need to know about this amazing store that you guys are in? Let me know.
Yeah. I think ACF is doing their best to kind of champion hospitality in the service industry, and so it becomes less about the bike. I know we're talking about bikes right now, but what we really want to kind of communicate to the community that it's not about the bicycle. It's about your picnic with your kids. It's about your trail that you're shredding in the fall. It's about your podium. It's about your world around you, and it becomes a little bit more about the spirit of what bicycles can bring you to enjoy, and that seems to be more about what we're about right these days. We do have a lot of great technology, and we do have great product, but it's really more about the relationship that we're trying to build with our community, and that's really what ACF is about right now.
Yeah. You can really tell that's what's going on when you come into the shop. I've been in several of your locations, usually to pop in for, like, I'm headed to Stony and I need a tube. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, oh, there's an American Cycle and Fitness. I'll go in and grab one. But they're all clean. They're all professional.
We're all happy to see you.
Yeah, they're all happy to see you. Exactly. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, man. So I hope you
Wow,
enjoyed
man,
that.
I learned a lot right there.
You know what I'm saying, bro, dude? Dude, it's all about the fit, really. Like, these people are doing it.
Seriously.
They're out here.
It makes a difference.
It does.
It totally does.
Right.
Totally
so
does.
I really do appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Bruno, for getting out here in these streets.
Man,
for us.
Appreciate you, man.
Got to be out here. Hey, so Bobby, what's the deal, man? What's happening on these streets, bro?
You know
Like,
what's out here,
where do I got to be next? Let me know.
You can be where you need to be, or you can be here with us. Yeah. But I'm really here to tell the folks, hey, where to find us. On the social webs. You can face us. You can Twitter us. On those IGs, as the kids say, or you can do a gram.
Just be gentle.
Just be gentle.
The Instabooks.
When you're twittering us, just be
yes,
gentle.
yes. But it's
cool.
all spelled the same. It's
Right.
Detroit Bicycle. BYCYCLE, y'all. We out here on everything.
Oh,
Everything.
and we got new hookups too. That if you see us in the street,
Right.
Yeah.
Come
You
holler
catch,
us.
you catch us out here. We got the patches with the QR code lead you right to the hookup to listen to all the episodes
all in one spot.
all in one spot.
One house shopping, man. It's like
Yeah.
Dollar
Oh, yeah.
General for biking. Only with some beer. Like, it would be like at the Dollar General after a 40. That's our podcast right about now.
Oh man, this guy.
All right, folks. So we hollered at the chefs. They still here, ourselves. And we got our 3 things this week. This week, 3 things. Your favorite. I'm not even say favorite. What's your hole in the wall food spot? It might not be, the safest,
Most hospitable.
hospitable, yes.
Hygienic.
Hygienic,
Can we go with hygienic?
they might not have passed the city
quarter-
code, but
Why you gonna be bringing up old stuff, Bobby?
hey. But it's your fave, it makes
Right,
your
they got
taste
that.
buds
They got
dance.
right. They got that one thing you like to eat. It's always the same.
And
It's probably cash only.
Oh, if it's not like this, even on the
Probably little to no parking, so
No
you'll
parking.
need to ride a bike.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I will
Yeah.
say this: one of my favorite things about riding a bike in the city is just riding somewhere and eating something and getting a drink.
See, there you
Right.
go.
Right.
That's pretty much- that's my warm weather.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great thing to do. And you know.
I mean, hey,
So where
we
you
like
doing?
to eat.
Where
We
you
like
doing
to
that
eat.
at, Bobby?
So no, I'm not gonna start first. I'm gonna give it up to our guest.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Throw it to Josh, sir. Tell us where your
Chef
spot
Josh.
is. Chef Josh.
Favorite hole in the wall spot.
What's your go-to? It ain't got to be your favorite. It's kind of like, I'm gonna just hit this one thing.
Right. That
I mean,
slump buster meal.
This is a horribly loaded question, especially for a chef. This is like, so my least favorite question as a chef, somebody's like, what is your favorite thing to eat? Because it's the number one thing everybody asks.
Yeah, I know.
Food.
And honestly, you know, like, I mean, I like a good French bread pizza like anybody else. In fact, seriously, if somebody opened a hole in the wall French bread pizza joint, I'd be there. I'd probably be there every day.
You'd be investing.
But a real answer to that question.
Stofers, y'all better get out here. Get that food truck,
I'm gonna take
Stofers.
it.
DiGiorno.
I'm gonna take it. See, that is interesting because does food truck count, or does it actually have to be a hole in the wall?
Okay, so we
Hey.
discussed that
All right,
actually.
so yes,
All right.
I mean, I'm not
Let
trying
him
to
know.
complicate.
No,
So we actually discussed this over
Yes.
the last couple of days, and we were there must be a wall.
Right.
yes.
That-
No
if you-
food truck
if-
today.
If it's going
No
to be
food
hole
trucks
in the
today.
wall, there has to be a wall.
Yes.
Sure.
So like,
Food trucks will
Food
appear
trucks, yeah,
again.
Trust me, folks.
there's
the
some great food
trucks will
trucks.
be
Right,
back.
yeah.
trust
Yeah,
me.
that's a
Yes.
whole episode.
Oh,
So
yeah.
prepare
truck,
yourself. Yes.
right.
You know, I'm going to lean into the pizza discussion here because I know that everybody that rides a bike, I mean, slices are a part
That's
of
life. Yeah.
That right.
Slice life.
There- There's a reason my headset has a pizza on it. 'Cause no matter where I go in the city, I'm going to get a slice of pizza. Sergeant Pepperoni's used to be the go-to.
Ooh,
Yeah,
used
it
to.
was. Let's be honest, man.
And
that was the
and
one.
To.
I don't want to say anything too disparaging, but I know that other people at this table have been there many times,
Indeed.
and they haven't been there in about a year.
Truths.
Or more.
But I will say this. I'm going to say run the pie side,
Ooh.
even pop off world.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
there's people making
that pop
really
off
good
world.
slices in this city
And you can play The Simpsons.
that are different. And for me personally, I mean, riding a bike and eating pizza, it's pretty solid.
It is.
Now, also living near East Side, there's a place I'm dying to go to, but it runs limited hours. It's called Pooh's Perfect Potato.
Ooh.
It's on Charlevoix. The
It
triple
is,
P,
it
man.
is.
The triple P.
Who's perfect potato?
And unfortunately, every time I've tried to go there, they have not been open.
Okay.
Every time I drive by it, when I'm actually like on my way to work or riding my bike, they're open, but I can't stop. But
That's the life of a hole in the wall.
yeah,
Right.
That's what I
Right.
love.
It's open when it's open.
Because honestly, I think this building is maybe 18 feet wide, and about 20 feet deep, and there's a memorial photo on the outside. Like, I mean, this is a place I want to go. Now,
It's literally just a hole with just a wall.
literally, you can walk in one side, out the other, and have some potatoes in your hand.
Nice.
And
Who
I'm
does-
dying
who
to
doesn't
try
want
it.
Nice.
But beyond that, go to Capers.
Ooh.
Right.
Okay.
Just
yourself a
steak
d-
by the ounce.
Man, even
East
as a
side
chef,
joint.
get a deep fried steak. Like, it's an experience. It's a thing. Go to Capers.
Yeah, I love capers. So what's it going to be, man? What's your spot?
Matt, what you got?
Well,
you
this
got?
is going to be a tough one. I think the first one is a place in Imlay City called Jalisco's.
Okay.
And they are like killing the burrito game, right?
Okay.
And so it's super authentic Mexican. And I think Mexican is like a hot topic. It's a touchy subject for me, because
Same here.
Taco Tuesday is so popular everywhere. But to be honest with you, there aren't that many great tacos around. Right. See what I mean? See what I mean? It's pretty touchy.
I'm going to touch the bell. I'm going to. So, been in Southwest. I'm not the Southwest expert. I've only been there the last 4 years,
Right.
Talking like you are.
but
Clark Park.
there's some good stuff over there.
Right. There's some good stuff.
Yeah, some tacos.
but
So I just wanted to, that's the asterisk.
Okay.
Some good stuff over there.
Point being, there's not a lot. Are you
Agreed.
saying there's a lot?
And
No, you're right.
a lot of the
There's
tacos,
some good stuff
though,
over there.
they're not
Schoolless.
super authentic
Okay.
these
Correct.
days.
Correct.
And I think that bothers me because I expect only a couple of things. I expect onions, cilantro, lime, some type of sauce, and I expect to have to add a little bit of salt on it. And if it's not that way, on a double corn tortilla, it's not a taco for me.
Okay.
Yeah, you've covered the basics.
I feel
Like,
good because every spot, the spots I go to describe exactly what I'm getting
Right.
The
served.
basics are covered.
Yes.
Right.
So, yes.
Right.
All right. We good. We
Trucks
good.
or
We
brick.
good.
But the burrito in Emily City at Jalisco is out of control.
Okay.
So if you ever find yourself there for some reason, 60 miles away on your
Go to
bike,
court.
If
Going
I'm
for
in
a
Emily,
burrito.
dude, if I'm in Emily City, I'm probably trying to find a way out of these handcuffs.
likely. So I guess other hole in the walls.
What's your D-town spot? Give us your D-town spot. You in the city. You
Right. You got an
showing
extra
folks your meat,
half
you know?
hour extra.
When you're done showing folks your meat, where you going to eat?
That's a good question. There's so many spots. I never go to the same spot over and over. I mean, there are some things that when I'm in Metro Detroit, I don't go more than a couple days without. But they're not really it's not really like a hole in the wall. It's like oatmeal cream pie from Red Hook. Like that's my jam. Like I don't go more than like 4 or 5 days without
That's what we talking about.
without a
Right.
OCP.
Right. That repeat.
Right.
That's what we want.
Right.
That's
So
what we want.
what you doing, Henry? Where you going?
Oh man, this first spot. Well, I'll just leave it at one
Yeah,
selection.
let's do that.
But this is Los Galanos.
Ooh.
And translation, if those who aren't bilingual, is directly rooster.
Right.
And it is, I'll give you a location because I'm like really excited about it. And if you don't have an address, you will miss it. It is 7135 Dix Street, in Detroit in the Southwest. And it's actually, right where Werner turns into, Dix. And this,
When what happens?
Werner
Does what?
turns into Dix.
Okay.
DIX.
I'm just checking, bro.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So it's in the Spring Wells Village neighborhood, and their claim to fame is the home of the half chicken. So I was first introduced about 6 years ago now on actually a Fat Kid ride.
Oh, that's what's up. Shout out to Fat Kid.
Right, shout out to Fat Kid.
PHAT, y'all.
Right.
That's a Tuesday ride, bro.
And I think this was early on, and there maybe have been 15 or 12 of us out there. And we opened the door, and the lights, the eyes lit up of the guy behind the counter. And then 2 more people came in, and then 4 more people came in, and his eyes got bigger and bigger because he was counting the chickens that he had on the grill behind him to make sure he had enough.
The math wasn't adding up.
No, it was not. By the
was
time
not.
the last person went in, he was cutting chicken, seasoning, and throwing them on the grill to make sure we all had one. And I think you got half a chicken grilled, a bean side, a rice side, and like 2 or 3 flour tortillas, and it was like $5.
And you wrap them up yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. It was amazing. Hole in the wall spot. I believe it's a blue building with like an orange or a red awning. But next to it, there's maybe 2 cinder block windows up high. And next to it is a garage. So you would not know it's a restaurant there.
Oh, so a real hole in a real wall.
There's a door and like 2 security blocks, maybe 15 feet high. So you can't even look out of them. But
You was eating in lockup,
right,
bro.
right,
You was at the county.
fresh out the courtyard, 'cause right next to the courtyard, they had a handful. They had 3 or 4 big barrel grills.
Okay.
And they were cutting the chickens
Throwing
in
it
half
down.
and throwing them down. Fantastic.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Hey, all right. So my spot was in the Eastern Market, man, and some of y'all know this place because you're out after hours on Friday and Saturday night, man. And I'm gonna give a shout out to my spot, 2638 Orleans. Cutters.
Cutters.
That's
Caddy from the cut.
You go there, you know the deal, man. You're eating steak bites, you're eating wings, you're eating a burger,
Stuffed burger.
a stuffed burger. Like, are
Home
you
of the
kidding me?
stuffed burger.
Before they made that one, they sold on TV. Like,
Yes.
Right.
stuffed burger,
They were
yeah.
way ahead of the stuffed burger thing guy on TV as seen. And, you know, they're going to serve Belvedere. They're going to serve Hennessy. They're going to serve, you know, your draft.
Middle light,
1738.
Right. You know, and there's two parts. And if be prepared. Friday and Saturday night,
Get the
You
salt
might-
of the
you-
city there.
you might not want to wear your Jordans that night because it's crowded in there at other times
Right.
when other places aren't open. So
I mean, it gives you a real flavor of the city, though.
oh
The
yeah,
city
there's a
life
whole
is there.
there's a whole bunch of movers and influencers
Yes,
in there
for sure.
on Friday and Saturday night, man. So what you got, Bobby?
Man,
Where's your hold up?
a little bit everywhere. But
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to some old school that a buddy of mine put me on like long time ago. It's called the Food Exchange, and they are the home of the Big Baby.
Big baby.
And the Big Baby is a 12-ounce hamburger with corned beef.
Big Bird.
Corned beef added on, lettuce, tomato, onions, all the fixings. But it is located at 8455 Harper. It's on the east
Oh,
side.
okay.
Yeah. Just east of Van Dyke, right there on Harper.
Deep.
That's a bike ride. Bike ride for a lot of people.
You probably want to lock your bike up there.
Or bring it inside. Yeah, bring it in. Just bring it in.
It might be
bring it in, place your order, and then go back outside with your bike. Wait for the order to get done. But this thing is massive. It's great. You will probably fall asleep right after.
That itis.
So I hope you're not riding too far, unless you just need a lot of fuel, then you're going to be good to go. If you don't want the Big Baby burger, you can also get the Big Baby fries, which they just, minus the bread.
They just changed the
Put all that
starch on
stuff.
you.
Yeah, they're going to top all that on some fries for
Same
you with
shit,
some cheese.
different day.
Yes. But
That's awesome.
that is definitely the one. It's definitely a hole in the wall spot, but it's a
Right.
good spot. I mean,
Yeah.
the food's good. They've been around for a very long time.
Right. And I mean, let's be honest, man. Detroit's full of hole in the wall spots.
Of
man.
course, of
Like,
course.
I had 4 that I had to choose from. You
Yeah.
know, and we all did.
Yes.
So Detroit's
So-
good for that.
so
Get on your
definitely-
bike and go find a spot, man.
Go find a
And tell
spot.
us what yours is.
Please, let us
please
know.
do.
Right.
Please do. Let us know.
Tell me somewhere to go ride my bike and eat.
Because that's
food.
all we
Dude,
want to
like
know.
if you can tell me where I can go ride my bike and get an amazing meal,
Yes.
I'm about that right now.
Exactly.
We're about that bike life.
Right.
Well, we want to thank our guest, Chef Josh, Chef Matt from Farmfield Table, Chef
you, Jeff.
Josh from the Dime Store.
Yeah. Right.
Check them out. You can check them out online, or even better yet, go visit them. Eat some of their food.
For real. It's
Right.
good. Get your
Dude.
brunch on.
I'm telling you right now, man. Josh, I've seen people outside his restaurant waiting hours to eat eggs.
Eggs.
Like, that's a hell of egg. You know what I'm
The
saying?
reputation speaks for itself.
Right.
It
There's no
impresses
question.
me, they still wait. They still wait.
So prepare yourself for a wait, but then you will be rewarded for a fantastic
There's no question,
meal.
man. It's amazing, man. I really do appreciate what both of you are doing for the city, and it takes a village. Like, we're all trying to fix it. So
And thank you all for coming in today.
Appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you. Yeah, it's
Get on
cool
your
time.
bike, go get a meal.
yeah, cool.
Again, Detroit Bicycle here with Bobby and Bruno. We thank you for listening once again. We are all about the love, benefits, art, culture, events, food, and the people we meet from the Detroit area and abroad.
Green